Sunnah followers, protectors of the Sunnah, Sunnah followers, protectors of the Sunnah.
Alhamdulillah, wa salam Allah wa Rasulullah. Welcome to another session of Sunnah Followers Hadith class. And this is the Hadith class wherein we discuss issues that relate to women in Islam. And with that said, let's put the Hadith up for consideration today on the screen. And the source of this Hadith is Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim. And this Hadith was narrated by Abu Huraira. He told us that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, of the money that you spend as a contribution in the way of Allah, or that you spend to free a slave, or that you give in charity to a person in need, or even the money that you use to support your family, the one that brings the greatest reward to you is that which you use to support your family. And this is a wonderful hadith because it shows that even though men are obligated to support their family, it's the man's job in Islam to provide, maintain the family, to pay the bills, to pay the rent, to buy the food, to buy the clothing, the health insurance. All of that falls on the man. And it's good to know that men are rewarded for everything they do, even for their wives, their children. And also the Prophet went on in another version of this hadith to say that even when you have relations with your wife, when a man has relations with his wife, he receives charity for that too. You know, so again, we have to understand, guys, there are different forms of charity. You know, any good deed that we do with the intentions of pleasing Allah is an act of charity. The simple fact that you go to work every day so you can pay the rent, so your wife and children can live in a nice community, so that your wife and children can have a beautiful, nice home, so that your wife and children can be safe and secure. You know, this is sadaqa, this is barakah. These are blessings in your favor that will follow you to the grave. It's something that we need to think about because there's a lot of people who complain. I know a lot of men who complain because they have to work and take care of their families. And I know other men who refuse to work at all. They'll make the woman go out and work, or they'll put the woman and children on welfare and throw them in a bad environment known as the projects and let them grow up around sex, drugs, and rock and roll because they too lazy to get up and take care of their families. Well, those men that fall in those categories need to ponder this hadith and its meaning, because the ones who fulfill their obligations, these are the ones that will end up with a good ending when they're in that grave. So now that I've explained that hadith and given you the background on it, who would like to share or comment? Anyone?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yes, it's a beautiful hadith, subhanAllah, mashallah. I'm a single mom, you know, and my rent is quite expensive, and it's good to know because I do give sadaqa and charity, and mashallah, and I'm always hoping that will be the thing that, you know, will help me on the day of judgment. But I also remember hearing something, not this hadith, but something basically regarding, you know, your earnings that that you make at work and things like that, being, you know, a blessing or whatever towards, you know, as far as it counts as it counts, you know, in your favor for taking care of your family, getting up and going to work and things of that nature. So it's good to know, like, because I'm a single mom, I don't have a husband, taking care of me, and, the rent's quite expensive, and all the bills like fall on me. My daughter's in college. She's a senior, mashallah, alhamdulillah. And, yeah, so it's good to know that that's all the things, all the earnings I make at work, and taking care of my family, providing for everything. I do everything. So it's just really good to hear this hadith and know, okay, great, this is going to count as well on my scale for me, Alhamdulillah.
Exactly. And the good thing is, like she was talking about, even for us women, there's a lot of women out there who are single, and you don't have a husband, and we're the provider and maintainer. You're living here in America. Now, in other Arabic countries, it doesn't usually work that way. But here in America, for those of you who don't live here, the road is not paved in gold like people think. Women in America, they don't have husbands. We have to work and take care of our children. Nobody wants to live in the projects. Nobody wants to live off the dough, as you call it in your countries, the dough. No, the dough places ain't good here. Very bad places to be. So this is great encouragement for those women with children who don't have husbands and who don't have family members that can provide and maintain and support them like they would in an Islamic country. This is great motivation for us. In fact, you women may even get double the reward. Anytime we do what is more than what we have to do, Allah rewards us even more. So that's something that the sisters who do have to work and take care of themselves, like myself and most women here on this website, we are single women and we provide and maintain ourselves, we might even get double the reward, because you're doing something that is a man's job, number one, and number two, you're still maintaining your womanhood. So it's hard, but it's good to know that whatever good we do, it will be in our benefit. Our reward will come in the hereafter. And that's what makes the Muslim better than the non-Muslim. This world is the paradise for the kafir. It's a prison for us. Our reward will come later. Okay, anybody else? Good job. Anyone else?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
okay. Assalamu alaikum. That is a very good hadith, and I've heard many hadiths in regards to this, and it is a form of charity when a woman, whether she goes out and works or whatever, she work at home or whatever, because she's doing extra. She's taking care of the children. She's being a wife. She's helping her husband, and there's nothing wrong with that. She's helping him. And that's a form of strengthening family ties, which is always good in the eyes of Allah. And she's helping keep her family together, and everything that we give is sadaqa, because we don't have to do it, but we doing it. We're it's like we're giving charity, and that's a good thing, because sadaqa is always good.
Yeah, exactly. And even for those women who are married, because I get a lot of questions from women who are married, but they still work to help make ends meet, because it takes two incomes to really make it here in America. And so they ask me often, Sister Layla, even though, I work and I'm helping my husband to cover our expenses, will I get rewarded for this? Yes. Anything that the wife does, it counts as a charity for her. You want to help your husband pay the bills, that's a charity for you. You want to help your husband buy food, that's a charity for you. You want to help your husband buy clothes for the kids, this is all a charity for you. So that serves as a great encouragement for those women who are married and still have to work or still choose to work, to help make ends meet. Anyone else? Go ahead, Anissa.
Alhamdulillah. What you just said, I know someone who actually married a person from a foreign land and didn't realize that this person needed to speak English, needed to know how to work in America, know what America's like. Now they're having problems in their marriage because she's the one that's always been working and he can't find a decent job. So she's pissed off because he ain't helping her. And she says, I married him because he's supposed to take care of me. Girl, you got to think differently. That's just one thing to back up on what you were saying. The other thing is, years ago, I used to be a member of singles clubs where we, look for husbands. And a lot of the brothers would come to the masjid and the sisters would line up and the brothers would line up. And the brothers always would say, I'm looking for a sister with children. I don't mind taking children in. And yet most of the sisters that were coming, they were already on welfare. So all these brothers did was step into a welfare recipient's abode. The woman was still taking care of everything. And he's out selling oils and stuff. I just want to bring that up for sisters who have children. Go to Allah, ask Allah to give you exactly what you need, not something you don't need that will bring you not peace and not tranquility, but bring you hell, because it's out there.
Exactly.
Just keep struggling, single sisters with children, keep struggling. Allah will take care of you. Allah will help you every step of the way. So
exactly. Alhamdulillah. Go ahead, Sister Aisha.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
This is a great hadith because it shows how men also get rewards from Allah. And for me, this is a reminder for me. For example, for me, it would be my dad, because he always, wants the best for us. He always goes to work, without complaining, because he says he wants for us to live like peacefully and for us to live in a place that's safe environment. He don't like to settle for less. Instead, he wants what's the best thing he could afford for his family. And it shows through his character what kind of person he is. And that's what I take, from his hard working characteristic. Because he knows, his provider is Allah, and he always asks Allah to provide for him a job that pays well and is halal. Then he can provide for us a better life than, even like we're still living better, but he still wants, more. And that's why he always goes. And I always ask him, Dad, are you ever not going to take a rest? And he's like, no, because I want the best for you guys. And by doing this, Allah is going to always, reward me more. And I can see, because Allah does reward him more every time. He becomes like, even his job, they be like, oh, Hassan, you are hard work. And they're like, they always tell him, they're like, you are the best and all that. And he's like, no, comes from Allah. That's why all this, what is it called? This compliment they always give. And I'm like, that is true. I always look at, I'm like, yeah, you can tell Allah really does bless you a lot, because the way people talk about you at work is just like, wow, like they really like him at work. They're like, please don't leave. You're like one of the hardest working. And I'm like, Dad, he's like, always pray for me, Isha and Norto, that I always get a job. And he's like, and there was also this one job he had, but he said, even though it pays well and you don't do nothing, he said, he said, it's not halal. So he's like, I'm going to get out. I don't care how much the pay is. He said, I want to do something where Allah is going to be pleased with me. And that's why he has a job now that's, better for him. And I'm like, I always look at him and I'm like, wow, Dad, you don't even know the kind of role model you're setting for us. Alhamdulillah, that's all.
And don't you settle for anything less. Your father is the best role model of a man. And don't you ever settle for less. That's what Allah made when he says for women to marry, according to what they're accustomed to. You don't settle for no man less than what your father is, and that might be what puts him into paradise. The fact that he lived his life trying to provide the best for his family, and never took a break or never took a rest for himself. He put his family, his wife, and his children before himself. Very few men do that nowadays. And so don't you ever settle for less than that. Yeah, go ahead, Sister Norto.
I think going back to the topic of settling for less, I already see the example, my father shows to us. Like, my dad, he cooks, he cleans, he does things that other people find, oh, that's a girl's thing to do. So for me, like, when I get married, that's what I'm expecting from a guy, to also know how to cook and take care of himself, because my dad does the same thing. So I'm not settling for less, but back to the topic of charity, when you like spend in the way of Allah, you know, it'll come back to you double. But no charity is better than the one you give to your family, because charity starts at home. And that's what you've been preaching. That's what we've been learning. And if we spend on our family, Allah will spend on us, as He told us in the Quran, "O son of Adam, spend and I shall spend on you." And, you know, sometimes we think to ourselves, you know, if we give in charity, it will lessen us, but it's the other way around. Charity, will come back to, you know, Allah will provide from places you can never imagine. So take care of those who are under your care.
Exactly. Alhamdulillah. And again, their father, you know, is a good man. You know, it shows the simple fact that he let his children grow up on my website is proof that he's a good man, you know, who doesn't have a problem, you know. And then, you know, he knows that it's of all the sadaqa he gives, the best is the sadaqa he gives to his family. And he's made this his life commitment to provide for my family. He came to this country. For those you don't know, Norto and them came over here as refugees. Norto's from Somali. She's not African-American. She's Somalian American. Okay. They were refugees in this country, you know, and subhanAllah, to come from nothing to what they are today. Ever since her father came here, he worked hard, 2-3 jobs to give his wife and his children a better life than what they had before. Subhanallah. You know, that's a great role model. That's a great example. And that's the true meaning of this hadith. Let's put it on the screen again. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, of all the money you spend in the way of Allah, or to free a slave, or to give in charity to somebody in need, or the money you spend to support your family, the one that brings the greatest reward is the money you spend to support your family. Think about Aisha and Norto's father as a refugee who came from nothing, came here and been working ever since, has not took a break yet, to give his wife and children the best life that he could give them. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for joining and participating in this session of our Hadith class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu